what I really want to explore is how we bring our own cultures and identities into our professional practice. And in this situation, we're looking at Yoruba practice. We're going to be exploring, and Olu's going to talk more about that, the return beat, which is around circular thinking and how that applies across all disciplines, because it's most commonly associated with music and with dance. But I have been thinking about how people of African heritage, in particular Yoruba, that we are circular thinkers. And when we are circular thinkers, what does this mean in the context of teaching and learning? So much of time is kind of spent in terms of the decolonizing the curriculum and looking at reading lists, but actually we need to go further back and look much deeper philosophically in terms of where our thought processes coming from and how those are transferred throughout many years of histories.
So Emijo, meaning the heart of dance, is out of the so-called heart of darkness comes the heart of dance, which is the heart of life. So simply it means the heart of dance. That's what we look at at the rooftop. And the celebrations of these achievements. First, I must say it's amazing the condensation of that show into a meaningful video that you've seen. And I wish all the collaborators are here, because it takes more than just having one director is not enough, because there are lots of people who worked on that, the costumier, music. Then, I mean, it's just endless, and they did a lot of work. But the good thing about it is we were all telling one story. So when the concept of Emijo came, I thought, no, we are all storytellers, but we need to find a way of telling one humanity story. One story for all, but in different ways. Storytellers have variety. There are drummers, there are storytellers, there are writers, there are filmmakers. Everyone, we are all storytellers. We just tell stories in a different way. But we can borrow from one another's philosophy or availability of technology to retell our story or the continuity of our story. Our stories always have the past and there's the present. But there's no present without past. And the future is meaningless without using the experience of the past in our presence. That is what Emejo is all about. It's the journey of people, of humanity, of man. We start life as babies, we grow up, become professors, become musicians, become administrators, become whatever. And in the end, we go back to crawling before, if we have the opportunity to live a full circle of life. And that's what Emejo is talking about. We have seen Emejo now, people's reactions between, which you will hear some of it from people who are involved, for 22 years. And I'm glad, thanks to Maureen, who used to be the chair of the company of Badijo Arts, for making it possible for us to still remember the stories. So we're here to stimulate our own stories. Whatever information we are able to give today is for you to internalize it and see how you are going to do it. If I say you should do the Bata movement, am I trying to make you a Bata dancer? No. But if you can follow what happened between me and you try it, and you pick up something that stimulates the story you want to tell. We all have stories, and we are storytellers. All right?
So, because I want to get to the things, I won't go through a massive preamble. In a sense, we take straight from what Peter has just said in terms of storytelling. Now, the issue is, what story are we telling? Whose story are we telling? How are we telling those stories? What frame and what paradigm do we use those particular stories? Okay, so I'm going to do a small exercise in a second, but I'll just give you a little bit of a preamble. So you have rhythm, and as Peter so eloquently said, the idea, from a Yoruba mind, the idea that you have no rhythm is ridiculous. It's like saying you don't breathe. And the same thing, oh, I don't dance. No. Oh, I can't dance. That's ridiculous. Dancing is breathing. Dancing well or beautifully, that's a different side, that's another story. But to dance is to be. Yeah? And so what does that mean? It means that when we go to a party, we don't respectfully say, oh, no, sorry, I don't want to be boastful. Because in Europe, if we go to a party and someone starts getting up and dancing, we go, oh, look at those people, yeah, thinks they can dance, isn't it? No, just sit down, man, shut up. Yeah? Yeah, we have that kind of a little bit of a little, thing. Or if a circle opens up, we say, who's going first? I wonder, oh, it's going to be her. Yes, of course it would be her. Do you know what I mean? There's a little bit of that sort of thing there. And so if you go in, you've got to be seriously wanting to be boastful, because you know that's coming at you somewhere. Yeah? Now, in a Yoruba context, when you open a circle, you open up the circle where the ancestors and the unborn exist. So when you step in, it's a gift. It's the gift of the living. So you'll have people support you. No matter what, if you fall over or whatever, it'll be supported because you're taking the center ground. Does that make sense? It's not, you don't go to a party to dance, you go to a party to give your dance. Tempo is the speed at which something occurs. Rhythm is what rests, it's the pattern inside that tempo. So we're not talking about rhythm. The way rhythm is constructed and understood is what we're looking at. Since we are, therefore I am. So this is the kind of, so this is what we're doing. So with the clapping, you've got your individual tempos, but you have to clap your tempo as one. We'll start with the linear beat. 1, 2, so in your mind, you're thinking of the linear beat. but at the same time, you must keep your claps together. I will start you off on a tempo, okay? And then I'll leave you as a group to maintain the tempo, okay? So here. Good. When we think in a linear, teleological way, it's natural for us to speed up. Hence, in orchestras, you have to have a conductor. The conductor maintains the tempo. Now, it's interesting when you start to analyze that within Western culture. Ready? There'll be a rhythm that you know that you're going to play around. Gently. 1, 2, 3, and...
And the most important person in the family is the little ones, which is continuity. This is tomorrow. That's our tomorrow. And they keep the rhythm. If you go da 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 da, anything can go over that. But that one is the basis. That actually is the basis of the dance. So when you get up and you want to dance, you look for the continuity in the dance. If you're a writer, you have to underpin all your story with one particular aspect. You could write about Jamaica, about Nigeria, about Russia, about Ukraine, but you still have to come back to what exactly is your point. So just put it up, put it up, put it up. Open your eyes now. Open your eyes. Just put it up. Just bounce it, unbounce it, just bounce it. Just bounce it, just bounce it, just bounce it. Now here's where the complication starts. Now shake the head. Shake the head. Don't lose your bounces. Don't lose your bounces. But shake your head. Shake your head. Shake your head. Raise the hands. Raise your hand. Raise the hands. Raise the hands. I see all of us as storytellers in different forms and in this society. Since I've come into this country, there are lots of things that interest me. Like, I've had multiculturalism, multi-education, multi-this, multi-that, even there are multi-human beings now in this country. But what is our own contribution through our own stories to make sure we are sincere about the multi of existence?
We share the world with other beings. So the Council of All Beings is speaking on behalf of those beings that can't speak for themselves in our culture. So, but from the Yoruba perspective, is also that the Hopis have this wonderful idea: stone as frozen memory. So that, and we understood it as stone. And in fact, in Ifa, the storytelling oracle, ideas have personality. You know, they'll say something like, "Oh, patience came down to give sacrifice to come into being." Patience, the quality of patience. So everything that can exist, a bit like phenomenology, for those who are familiar with phenomenology, but it's much deeper than that in some ways, because you're saying everything that you can perceive, if you can perceive it, it's come into existence. Before it came into existence, he had to ask to come into existence.
Thank you for participating.
Yeah, really, thank you.
Yes,
And,
thank you very much.
Really, really good.
It's kind of blew my imagination because it's not quite, although we've had lots of conversations
Yes.
About this, but you just could not predict what it was going to be. So there was something about opening up and go with the flow. And so with all the kind of preparation that we did in the conversations, I think at the end of the day, I just had to kind of just let it go and let it be. And it was really wonderful to have some new stories to tell from today and different ways of telling stories. And it's been wonderful working with you all. Thank you.
And Emijo couldn't have worked as a proscenium stage. We tried it. We did a tour of the proscenium stage, but it's not as effective because most of the things in Emijo were carefully selected. You know, the journey of the part on the river, the coming into South Bank, which is the birth of people into England, and then the reality which they faced in the cold concrete vicinity of England.
So it did take a kind of a 3-year lead time of finding the resources, and we tried public sector, sponsorship. We had some champions. Baroness Amos was a champion, Una King, and so we were just looking everywhere possible because it wasn't just about the money, it was about the endorsement.
I saw at the start of the documentary, I think Sheba Montserrat was saying that we talk about multiculturalism and people are aware, and that 2000 was optimism.
Yeah.
Was very, very optimistic. And I felt optimism in that documentary, right? Year later, 9/11 happened. Then the war happened in Iraq. And move forward, we have the hostile environment on the streets of Lambeth and Brixton. We have the West Indian community being picked up, right, on the street, imprisoned. And we had to mount a campaign to make sure that that was broken. And I don't think we have this kind of parallel, circular, when people talk about circular, inbuilt in our system, right, there's a political default of racism, right, race, and has continued part of the system. And I call it a capitalist system, and that thrives in that. It always triggers it. And we see that rampant legislation has been brought in by someone with the same name as me, but no relation. A horrible, horrible person. And quite clearly, we will have this in parallel because the system needs to continue. However, we struggle, right? And we produce something really brilliant.
Thank you for sharing today, and I hope that the stories you heard today and this experience somebody will be sharing it in 75 years from now, as we approach they approach the next.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you,
so
Maureen.
much.